welcome back. Again, we're talking with Yvette. And Yvette, you have shared some stories with us. Now, tell me, how did you change your life? How did your life change? What happened?
Well, I guess in my 40s, it took me forever to mature, I guess. But by the time I was in my 40s, I was like, something got to give. Like, why do uh, drama keep coming in my life, and why do I not feel secure with myself? Why do I have a complex? Why do I have an attitude? So basically, I had to check myself,
Okay.
and
As we
so
all do.
right. But I guess it came to a point like when um, I was going through a divorce. I just was, it was becoming overwhelming. And something, one day I remember crying and crying, and I called my best friend and I said, I need to go to a church. I need to go
Okay.
to a church. And she was like, you want to come to church with me? And I said, yeah.
So
So,
you just felt overwhelmed with all the things you were dealing with and you weren't happy.
right.
So you thought seeking God was going to find you
Yes,
relief?
because I felt like what else am I gonna do? I felt like I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know what to do,
Okay.
and since I knew of God,
Mm-hmm.
why not?
Okay.
So she took me to a church, her church, and the day she took me, it happened to be a healing service.
Okay.
And so when the pastor was preaching, I was just like so emotional, and I was just really receiving everything he said. And at the end of the service, he did like an altar call.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking and I was watching everybody go up, but I never went to a church like this because
Go ahead.
I was brought up Catholic. I never experienced that ever. So I looked at my cousin and she was like, you want to go up there, don't you? And I was like, she said, you want to go? And I said, no, I'm not going over there. Like, I'm too shy for that. I'm scared. She said, I'll walk with you. I said, well, if you walk with me, I'll go up there.
But was something drawing you to that,
It's
or
like,
you
yeah, it's
just
like
had that
my,
feeling?
yes, it was just like
Mm-hmm.
I had so much inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt, I don't know, it had to be, it was
Just
something calling me to go up there. So we walk over there, and I remember looking, when we get to the front, I looked to the side and she was walking away. I was looking
she
at her.
left you at the
Yes.
altar.
I was looking at her like, you better get back here. And she went like this to me. And I just had my eyes open, like, what am I
Mm-hmm.
going to do? So I stood there and I started looking at everybody. I felt awkward. And
Mm-hmm.
so the pastor came to me and he came in my ear and he said, do me a favor, close your eyes and put your hands up and believe that you're going to receive what you're going to receive. So, and then he walked away. So when he said that, I was like, what do I do? Like, all I know how to do is say, "Thou Our Father," like in the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
But then I say, you know what? I just started talking in my head,
Okay.
and I was like, God, take all this heaviness out of my chest,
Okay. So you was
like
releasing
cleanse
all
me.
that.
Yes, I just started
Yes.
praying and didn't even know
Didn't know
that.
you was praying. That's
Right?
all. But that's all prayer is to have
Yes.
a conversation with God. There's no form or fashion. You just have that conversation.
Yes, and why I was just like, please, just like, I need to feel better. I need to forgive. I need to let go.
Mm-hmm.
And like out of nowhere, I felt a hand on my head, and the pastor came and he started praying in my ear.
Oh, okay.
And when he was praying in my ear, then he started speaking in tongues, which I know now. I didn't know that. I just knew it was a foreign language. And my tears were rolling down my face. They felt like they were from the one end of my eye to the other. Like it was just
Wow. Pouring,
pouring out.
gushing.
And I felt something turn on. I literally felt it go woo, and it started from my feet. And it just was flowing up my body like this.
Girl, that's the Holy Spirit.
Yes, I didn't even know. I just
What?
know I was crying while he was praying over me, and I was like this, and I could feel the wind
Mm-hmm.
inside of me. And when he let go, I stayed there for like another 30 seconds, and then I opened my eyes, and I was like, okay, who's looking at me? Like, is this a joke? So I started looking around the church, And when I looked, nobody was paying me no mind. I thought I was on stage or something. I felt like it was a joke.
It was on display.
And I started looking for a fan. I looked to the floor. I looked on the altar. I was like, all right, where's this fan that was blowing on me?
Okay, so you thought they had a fan out there.
Yes, I didn't know.
You felt that intensity.
Yes, and I felt really weak. So I just looked around. I didn't see anything. So then I walked away and I walked over to where my cousin was.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat down. But when I sat, I was like exhausted. And I said, I don't know what happened. And she just said, she calls me Dirt. And she said, Dirt, that was the Holy Spirit. I was like, it's a fan. And she said, that was the Holy Spirit. I said, Holy Spirit? Like, what is she talking about? Yes. So anyway, that happened to me. We left.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you something. I felt so amazing. I felt like I lost 1,000 pounds.
Wow.
And I had left with the urge to feel that again.
Mm-hmm.
But I was scared.
You wanted more.
I wanted more, but I was embarrassed also because I was like, I'm going to be going in front of the church like, Lord, help me. That's how I felt because I wasn't used to it.
Mm-hmm.
But so 6 months passed. And I still, every day, I wanted to feel that again.
Oh, okay. So it took you, so you didn't go back to church for 6 months. And, I've experienced that before. God talked to me one time. He asked me to bless the family. And I did. And it was amazing to be a blessing to someone. But by listening to God and doing what he asked you to do, it's sometimes scary.
Yeah.
It can scare you at times, You said you had that yearning to come back to church.
Every day. And I was like, I want to feel that again.
Okay.
I want to feel that again. So I started going to church.
Okay.
I started going every Sunday and every Wednesday for Bible study. And
did your attitude start changing? You stopped being nasty and mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, every time I went to church, it just felt like healing for me.
Mm-hmm.
All I did was cry. Because it was just like everything I ever was feeling inside. I was just changing. And I didn't even realize I was changing. People started telling me, Yvette, you're always smiling. And I used to be like, they told me I was always happy. And before I used to always have an attitude.
Right. Well, I guess that's God, this Holy Spirit came on you, started healing some of that stuff you was dealing with. A lot of times we don't even realize we're dealing with things until we get approached or, God just starts dealing with our mess.
Yes, and you think it's normal because you've been that way your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I didn't have anything wrong with me. I checked people when I had to check them because you were out of line. That was my way of thinking.
Yeah.
And now it's like, then I just started evolving, and I started realizing, okay, it was me, not everything. Because when you look at yourself as a victim, you get stuck there.
Right, and you're a survivor.
Yes.
You're definitely a survivor, and I think too. When you start feeling better about yourself, you illuminate all that. And that's what God is. God is love. He brings the best of us out. The best abilities. He brings his light. His light is shining through you.
Amen.
So that's what God does.
Coming up next on Let's Talk with Kris Roc.
My son told me one day, Mom, why do you keep going to your job? And he's like, you need to do something for yourself. You just want to keep working for people? And I said, I'm not good at anything. And he was like, what do you mean you're not good at anything? He said, even a man.
Today's episode was sponsored by Yvie B Lip Pop. Those lips be popping.